Have you ever been interested in a man, but didn't know how to catch his attention? I know many people may give you some advice like, you have to wear more sensual clothes, be sexier, or even take the initiative and approach the guy. But I'm going to be quite honest, unless you're seeking quick sex and a swift disposal afterwards, that doesn't work. If you're looking for a real, valuable man to start a serious, long-term relationship with, you should never be vulgar or take the initiative, because that gives the man the impression that you're a woman who just wants a quick fling, a night of adventure. And in this guy's head, that kind of woman is far from being the woman he wants to marry or to be the mother of his children. To get a man who will give you the value you deserve as a woman, you cannot seduce. You have to attract. In this video, I will teach you 7 techniques to attract the man you want in a feminine, sensitive way, without devaluing yourself or them. And if you're new here, subscribe to the channel to receive valuable content about the secrets of relationships. So, let's get started. Technique 1. Ambiguous glance. This technique is the most subtle way to show a man that you're interested in him. If he is an attentive and masculine man, he will pick up on it the first or second time you do this. But beware, predatory men who only want sex will also pick this up. So, you will have to carefully distinguish between the predatory man and the man of true value. But you will only be able to do this if this guy approaches you. And that's exactly what this technique is for. You're going to look at him, and keep looking until he looks back. At this point, you divert your gaze and then look back at him after a while. Simple. The most difficult part is overcoming shyness. But if you can perform this simple act and this man is available and outgoing, he will approach you in some way. But there are also men who are introverted. This doesn't mean they're less of a man, they just take a bit longer to take the initiative because they very carefully calculate their actions to minimize the risk of rejection as much as possible. In addition, some introverts are less observant and do not pick up on the subtler signals, and it's precisely for this type of man that the second technique is intended. Technique 2. Enhanced ambiguous glance. This one leaves no room for doubt. It's essentially the same as the first one, but with an addition that will make the guy really notice you're into him. And how does this technique work? You're going to look at him the same way you did the first time. When he looks back, you're going to divert your gaze and then look back at him. If he is still looking, you're going to smile, look down, and tuck your hair behind your ear or fiddle with your bangs. Then, with your chin slightly lowered, you're going to look at him again. This one is a knockout. Any guy will realize that you're into him. But don't be upset if the guy doesn't approach you. It could be that he is already with someone else, or even investing in another woman who is in the same environment as you. And that's okay. The important thing is that you got his attention. You attracted him. He just wasn't available. But I know, often the guy you're interested in isn't a stranger, because these 2 techniques are much more useful for distant flirting, especially with strangers. But what if the guy is from my workplace? Or if he's from my gym? Or even if you're following him on social media, but you've never talked? What do you do in these cases? Don't worry, the next techniques will cover each of these cases. Technique 3. Bring up topics about local restaurants. If there's one thing that connects people and also provides an excellent setting for a first date, it's restaurants. This technique will work particularly well if you already know the guy or if you've already started some conversation. It's a great technique for work or any place where you frequently interact because you know the person is from that area. Try to strike up a conversation about favorite food or mention something that you've loved to eat. Following that, if you know any local restaurants that serve this type of food, share how much you enjoy it. If you don't know any, ask him if he does. If either of you know of one, discuss the dishes they serve, the house specialties, etc. If that's not enough for him to invite you for lunch there one day, give another subtle hint like, I haven't eaten there in a while, I should go back. Or, it must be really good, I should try it one of these days. This should be enough to open the door for him to invite you there one day, and it's the perfect time for you to accept. If he suggests a date and you can't make it, be honest, but leave it open for him to invite you another day. For example, if he invites you for Wednesday and you have a work meeting or plans with a friend, say, I can't on Wednesday, but Friday would work for me. Now be careful. Don't agree to go to the restaurant at night right away, because night is when men hunt. It's when he'll tend to want to take you to a more private setting after dinner. So if he suggests dinner, tell him, how about lunch? Remember, flirting is a dance. He leads and takes the initiative, but you correct the steps if he's going in the wrong direction. Take it one step at a time and don't rush. If you're enjoying these tips and techniques, remember to give a like to this video and follow the channel. Now let's move on to another subtle technique to attract men, especially in physical fitness or sports environments. Technique 4. Ask for help. Men love to help women. It boosts their self-confidence because they feel protective and admired. So ask for help in an environment where there are heavy pieces of equipment or things that are hard to handle and understand at first. For instance, in a gym, you could use some equipment closer to where he is and ask him to help you with a weight or the settings of the machine you're going to use. This is a very simple way to attract his attention. From this point on, he'll notice you more in the environment, and that's when you can even use the techniques you've already learned in this video to make the signals even clearer. The ambiguous glance works very well in these environments, using the mirrors that are usually abundant in gyms. Also, if he starts a conversation, you can use the local restaurant technique, or even ask if he plays any other sport. Say you've never tried it, but find it interesting. All these are openings for him to ask you out or ask for your number. And this also works in other environments that are not the gym, but involve some sport or even academic environments. Asking a man for help is one of the best ways to get him to pay attention to you. But what if the man you're interested in isn't in the same environment as you, or you rarely meet or cross paths, or even if he lives in another city, or you've seen his profile on the internet? That's when it's time to use the subtle art of attracting through social media. Step 5. Grab his attention. Pay attention. Don't talk to him directly. Remember, we're talking about subtlety here. Never take quick or bold steps, always proceed slowly. First, if you don't follow him on the social media platform where you met him, or know that he uses, start following him. See if he follows you back. After a few days, like one or two of his posts. Also keep an eye on whether he has liked any of yours. If he didn't follow you back or didn't like anything back, he might not be very attentive to his notifications, which is quite common. Regardless of whether he liked you back or not, give it another day or two. And on his next post, respond with an emoji, but don't say anything yet. See if he comments or responds with another emoji. If he doesn't respond, stop here because he is not reciprocating. But if he responds with a comment or another emoji, you can do this once or twice more until he strikes up a conversation with you. But don't talk to him unless he talks to you first. Now, if he does talk to you, use the ambiguity technique again, but now not with your gaze, but with words. Respond to some of his questions with another question, or respond in a more open-ended way without being too specific. So he wants to understand your thought process and keeps being interested in asking more questions about you. If he asks you out or starts to flirt more directly, make it clear from the start that you're looking for a serious relationship. If he's an insecure boy or an internet hunter, he'll back off, and that's great so you don't waste any more time with a guy who wants nothing serious. And remember, if he asks you out, never agree to go to his house or to a place just the two of you. Choose shopping malls or restaurants, and preferably during the day for the first few dates. But there are also cases where you're already closer to the guy and want to know how to behave on a date to keep attracting him and keep him from disappearing after the first time you're together. And this is extremely important in female attraction. The man takes the initiative, but the woman sets the pace. You only dance to the tune you're comfortable with. That's why the 6th technique is so important. Step 6. Hold back on intimacy. It's very common for women looking for men to want to keep them through sex because they know how much men value sex. The problem is, if you have sex with a guy before dating, he's already got the trophy before the game ends, so why continue playing? He'll take the trophy home and abandon the game. Or he'll keep playing with you, winning several trophies, but without committing to entering the championship, which is a metaphor for dating. He'll only want the easy reward. And this happens due to various biochemical factors in men involving dopamine neurotransmitters when sex is stimulated. Dopamine works like this. While you don't get what you want, it motivates you to conquer. While you achieved it, it gives you pleasure and then satisfies you and makes you not want that thing anymore. And when a man starts a relationship, his dopamine is activated. If you deliver his main motivator for a relationship, which is conquest, proven by sex and romantic relationships in the male psyche, he'll no longer have stimuli to continue the relationship. So, if you're enjoying the guy after the first, second, third date, your biggest power of attraction is to withhold sex. Not to give in after the 4th or 5th date, tell him that now you only continue if it's with a serious commitment. This time spent with you without receiving the main reward has stimulated another hormone, which is oxytocin. This hormone is the one of connection, passion, and affection. With this hormone active, he is much more likely to be truly liking you. And if he is the ideal guy for you to start a serious relationship, he will ask you to be his girlfriend. And after this, you will feel when it's the right time to have your first intimate moment with him. It doesn't need to happen right away, but when you feel safe because he is being consistent between what he said when he met you and how he is acting now. And now we enter the last important attraction technique for romantic relationships. Technique 7. And when the relationship cools off. Yes, this can happen. You met each other, liked each other, started dating. The beginning was great and suddenly it seems like things are cooling down, becoming colder and more distant. You like each other, maybe you even feel that you love each other. But daily life starts to take over the relationship. Both of you get tired at night, end up spending a lot of time on your phones, kiss less during the day, among other things. And then there are some attraction techniques for you who are already in a serious relationship or for you who intend to get into one to prevent this from happening. One of them is when you're together in silence, watching a series or even each of you fiddling with your cell phone, is to lay your head on his shoulder or chest. This awakens important protective and admiration instincts in the man, who will tend to stop what he's doing to give you attention and affection. Another way is to hold his hand at unexpected moments, at home or in a restaurant, walking down the street, etc. You can also leave unexpected loving notes saying something you admire about him or encouraging him in a moment of difficulty he is going through. These small, sensitive, and loving details in daily life break the automation of routine and cause the man's attention to turn back to you. Therefore, by following these 7 techniques I taught you in this video, you'll always be in the focus of men's attention until you find an ideal man for you. But remember, the most important thing, you must be willing and have very clear intention that you want a serious, long-term relationship with a man who values and respects you. If you don't have this in mind from the start, you'll end up falling into the traps I mentioned here and throwing everything away. Therefore, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe, because in the next videos I will explain how you can choose an ideal man for you, as well as solve various problems you may be facing in the relationship you already have. Also, comment below what you thought of these 7 techniques. What's your biggest difficulty? Which one did you like the most? Or what is your question? Comment to me so I can know, and I will try to respond to as many comments as I can. See you in the next video.